Joining me now to discuss further, Republican pollster and focus group expert Frank Luntz. Frank, nice to see you this afternoon. When we look at where things stand, the polling is early, obviously. This matchup is new, but CNN's poll conducted this week shows an overall similar picture, right, of this Trump-Harris matchup, similar to Trump-Biden. You're seeing Donald Trump leading this poll by 3 points, but that's within the margin of error. So no clear leader there. And just a few minutes ago, the New York Times put out a poll which shows a similarly narrow race. As you look at this and how each candidate is trying to define both their campaign and their lanes and their opponent, where do you see the strengths and weaknesses for Harris and Trump?
So first, I don't look at the national numbers. I don't mean to undercut CNN or the New York Times, but we don't vote by popular vote. We vote by electoral college. So I'm following it only by state. Second is I'm looking at those key states to see where their numbers have gone. And some of the state polling is going to take a week before we figure that out. Third is that Harris has a chance to choose a vice president to take one of these key swing states completely off the table. Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona all have governors or senators, Democrats, that could be paired with her. And if those candidates are chosen as VP, that state is no longer a swing state. In the end, Trump has been doing well because of the Latino vote in Nevada and in Arizona, because he's been able to get some young black male vote in Georgia and in North Carolina, and the union vote in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. We have to rethink everything. Harris has a much higher ceiling than Biden does, but she also has a lower floor. So she can do much better than Biden was doing, but she could do worse as well. So I'm watching to see who's presenting, and nobody is right now, who's presenting a positive vision for what they're all about. Because in the end, you can hammer the opponent, but it's not just voting against someone. You have to give them a reason to vote for someone to ensure that your voters actually turn out on election day. So
in terms of voting for, I think you make a great point, right? Harris launched this new campaign ad this morning. She's using Beyonce's song Freedom. There's been a lot made about that. Beyonce said it is yours for the duration of the campaign. She is framing that as, I am a choice for freedom, for you to hold on to your rights, whether those rights involve your own body and reproductive and health care, whether they involve gun violence and how you feel about your own safety. Do you view that as a positive selling point, like I'm the one who's going to allow you to continue to do those things? Does that meet your criteria?
Yes, it does. And in fact, it's a very good choice of issues and framing, because Americans want to, they may not want to make the choice, but they want to have the right to make the choice. And for her to be on the side of freedom, normally you see Republicans on the side of freedom, Democrats on the side of equality and justice. It's a very smart, strategic move for her to try to take one of Trump's issues. Now, the question is when they start to go at each other, ad for ad, message for message, and which one's going to be stronger. I have to take issue, and I'm being very straightforward, because I absolutely want to be accurate. I want to be truthful. She was given the responsibility for immigration. The president said, and there are press releases about it, and there are White House statements about it, Vice President Harris was given the responsibility for coordinating immigration out of the White House. Yes, it is part of Homeland Security, but she was specifically put in charge, and she did not have a successful job.
I'm going to interrupt you, Frank. I need to interrupt you just for one moment here. Let's listen into the Vice President.
He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling, but I'm ready. And I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage, and so I'm ready. Let's go.
Will you do it on Fox News?
Comment on the protest yesterday.
So the vice president, of course, just landing there at Joint Base Andrews, she'll be making her way back to Washington, where she is set to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this afternoon. She was campaigning earlier today in Texas, speaking with the American Federation of Teachers. You just heard there, Frank, she was asked specifically about the debate and about whether she wanted to debate President Trump. She said she is ready. She plans to do it. A question shouted, because we know the Trump campaign is now pushing for this to be on Fox, not on ABC. But she said she is ready. She wants that split screen moment. that will be a far different split screen moment than what we saw just a few weeks ago with the president and the former president. How much is riding on that debate?
Everything. I know I have a small screen here because if I was sitting with you, I basically had my hands out here. Everything. The final judgment, and there was only 4% undecided when Biden and Trump debated, and Trump so clearly won that. Let me rephrase that. Joe Biden so clearly lost that debate, and that was the beginning of the end for him. It just took a matter of weeks for people to say he needed to step aside. With Harris, that debate will determine in the end that 6% who's undecided, and that's going to determine the election. It is game, set, and match. And I think that she's a better debater than Joe Biden is, even though he's got more experience. But I have to remind viewers, she debated Joe Biden in 2019 and did not do spectacularly. In fact, she raised a whole lot of money and didn't even make it to the very first primary in the Democratic battle for the nomination. So I think it's going to be the most significant debate of my lifetime, of your lifetime. And I believe that you're going to get an audience of 70 or 80 million people to watch.
How do you see, we only have about a minute left, but how do you see each candidate setting themselves up over the next several weeks leading into that September debate?
So let's be candid. Donald Trump has no discipline. I wanted to come up with a metaphor. There isn't any. He simply cannot not attack her. So that's just going to be the way that it is. She's going to be more strategic in her attacks, but she's going to have to get over an image. Her polling was horrible as vice president. She was the most unpopular vice president for 40 years. Now her numbers have improved considerably, but she's got to overcome that as well. And most critically, they have to have an agenda for the future, a detailed plan of action for what they're going to do in the first 100 days and the first year. We do not vote based on what we've done. We vote based on what we will do, and that's for both candidates to design and to present to the American people before that debate.
Frank, good to talk to you as always. Thank you.
Thank you.